All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome, Leo, to your monthly reading. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. I'm really happy to see you. You guys always ask. Apollo's chilling out, resting and watching over us in the background. If and when he's ready to come up, I'll bring him up to the channel. But for now, let's get started. As always, we're going to navigate through all of the energy, all the opportunities for the next 6 to 8 weeks. You can use this for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. And basically what we're going to be doing here is helping you see all of the possibilities. I'm all about empowerment on this channel, so if there's anything that you're trying to figure out, you came to the right place. And without further ado, let's get into this. One quick note though, if you do like what you see here, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe. Occasionally I will go live or throw out a special video, and it's good to have your notifications on so you don't miss out. Okay, with that being said, I always begin with channeled messages. And this comes from two different methods for me usually, dreams and then also meditation in the morning. And in dreams last night, I kept seeing you go from like house to house. So there's some interesting doors and opportunities and spaces that are going to open up for you. And that's actually what we're going to be talking about here in just a moment as I get the presentation open. It's basically the liminal or in-between spaces and how they're kind of magical. Sometimes they can be frustrating, but I see this as a month of possibilities for you, basically. So here we go. I saw that new home or that liminal space, focusing on the possibilities, but also sometimes the growing pains, and that's really going to be how we're going to kick off today's reading. So the space between right here, right now, and wherever it is that you want to be, it's both invigorating, amazing, but it can also be really frustrating because you see the potential, you know what you want. Sometimes you even see someone or something on the horizon, but the universe sometimes shows you a different way to getting to that destination. So try to embrace the bottom bullet here, which is this is a time where new memories, new cycles, and new opportunities await. We're really about opening doors and exploring and not necessarily expecting everything to be perfect from the onset. Sometimes that twisting path can be a very sort of engaging and entertaining and also like even educational thing. So allow life to sort of show you what it needs to show you here. The High Priestess is featured here because we can manifest either the frustrations and the fears, or we can manifest the possibilities. And really that's what the focus should be on. So that the home to me is really connected to the Ten of Pentacles, because we actually see, home and money and also like resources coming through loud and clear on this. And also that beautiful archway that you have to walk through. You also see that archway on the Ace of Pentacles card too, just in the distance. So when I was looking at the home, one thing that came through, I listened to the person saying, is all of there were like beds in every room, and it didn't make sense. It wasn't staged well. So it was sometimes hard to imagine what something would look like. I would say right now, if there's something that you're trying to accomplish, close your eyes and just imagine what it will be like to be there, and know that space and time and events, when you kind of get out of the physical realm, past, present, and future kind of all blur together. So we can just kind of set ourselves in that future state where the room is clear, the space is yours, you get to put your own sort of special embellishments and touches on it, and that's where the magic happens as well. Sometimes it's hard to imagine what something will be like until you get there. So just trust in the process here, and don't maybe adopt all of the old trappings from someone else. So if I think back to like when my parents, growing up, I grew up on the East Coast, even though I've been now longer on the West Coast than the East. When we moved across country for I was in the 3rd grade, there were some things in the house that they chose to keep. And most of them my parents ended up getting rid of because they either ended up breaking or they weren't what they wanted, didn't fit the aesthetic. So this can be sort of things where, let's say you step into a new group of people, or you're stepping into something where they're kind of stubborn. It may take a little bit to shake off those cycles, but I think that's really important to you feeling happy and also to you doing what you're supposed to be doing right now, which is expanding. And that's the next slide here. The last bullet is really important. Don't try to fit someone else's mold, create your own. In this Ten of Pentacles, parents, society, and teachers are typically the first people that come in and sort of take away the magical thing that we have when we come into this planet, which is a lack of lenses. We come through without any shame, without any bigotry, without any anger, frustration. It's just sort of like we're pure spirits. But then we have to try to fit into these expectations, and it starts to create some challenges. So this month is going to be about lifting some of those old molds that don't fit you. Some of you might be in a pot that doesn't fit. So I have a little patio out here with some plants. And one of the things whenever you have a patio garden, or even just when we have an orchid, you have to sort of look at the root system, see how healthy it is, and sometimes trim it back or put it in a new pot. In your own life, this can be a relationship where you're being sort of suffocated. It can be a work experience where there's a glass ceiling and you can't go to the next level. It can be school where you're not given the same opportunities as others, or society where the same thing happens. They expect you to act a certain way or do a certain thing. And it's not what you want to do. So it's growing pains. This month, there's going to be growing pains, but if we take the pain off, it's growing. That's the important thing. So I see a combination of two things: the tower, which breaks down things we no longer need, and the world, which is about expansion. So you are thriving in change this month. And there may be something in your life where you were root bound. One of my friends gave me a plant where it was in this little tiny plastic thing, and the roots had wrapped around so many times. All it needed was a pot and some water, and it's super happy. I'll show it to you right now since we're chatting about it. But it's just a little tiny happy house plant, and all it needed, it just had this tiny little thing. So I put it in a smaller pot than it probably needs, but it's like already 10 times bigger than what it was living in. So like this plant, you might need something bigger to thrive in. And allow yourself to go into the space in your life that's going to give you what you need to grow and to thrive. It was a happy plant. It was just kind of thrown in a box. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a beautiful plant. Let's just put it into the appropriate container. Okay, so those are the main messages today. Really beautiful stuff, actually, because it's just about you finding and observing your space, your power, and thriving ultimately. All right, so for those of you that are voting, thank you so much for helping me choose the wild unknown. I have it right here and ready. I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera down. Before I do that, again, a quick reminder to subscribe. I'm going to turn on my air conditioning as well, and then we'll get started. All right. Again, this can be used for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Sun, rising, moon, and Venus. Thanks again, everybody, for showing up today. I appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule to be a part of this. Let's see what the month has in store for you, Leo. Yeah, the plant's still adjusting to everything, actually. It was wilted and root bound. I also rescued a little spider plant, and that one's in my living room. I typically like blooming plants, but in the house it's nice to have like monsteras and nice leafy plants as well. Of course, my orchids are here in the background. This was a beautiful deck choice. Thank you guys for voting it in. Haven't used it in a while. I like it. My main complaint with this deck is that swords and wands are very difficult. This is swords, this is wands. You have to look really close to see the little hilt or whatever that's called at the top of the sword. More than once I've seen something and I'm like, oh, it's the 10 of wands, not the 10 of swords. But the artist just did a beautiful job in bringing everything to life on this deck, so it's nice. Thank you. Of course, I love nature decks too, as you guys know. Oops. Okay, let's get started, folks. We're going to begin first with the Catalyst card. This is going to help you stay on track, and it's going to help you create some positive movement in your life. And we have patience, which is, let's face it, one of the hardest things for everybody to connect with from time to time. So the Heron is here. It's teaching us patience, and it says, create a place in nature's stillness to be in nature's stillness and be renewed. Take time alone to find balance. Step confidently toward your purpose, and patience will bring your rewards. It's basically the same thing again and again. Slow it down, be present, and be patient. I love this deck, but I would make it less verbose. Slow it down, be present, be patient. And also take a moment to rise above. Whenever we see any of the bird energies coming through in totems or in oracle cards, there's a reminder to kind of get a bird's eye view on a situation. So if changes are coming through, sometimes the knee-jerk reaction is just to kind of immediately pull back against that and say, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I'm ready. And basically this card is saying, before you do that, see how it's going to feel, see what the intention is on this, and then make your decision based on that. All right, before we get into the overall reading, let's just take a moment to observe everything in the spread to get an overall energy for it. So if we're going to get the Devil, or I really wish the Ten of Swords wasn't here, but I like that it's reversed. I like that the Devil's in the past. So both of these are on their way out. They're towards the bottom of the spread, and they're easing out. What's towards the top here, and the two future cards are pretty good. So we have the transformational Six of Wands in this one, a very unusual Six of Wands. And we have some action that needs to be taken pretty quickly in the Ace of Swords. So things moving out. And then the rest of the cards are pretty manageable. So let's embrace, let's take a look. Let's get started with your center card. So we have the Mother of Pentacles, Mother being the queens in this deck. And the card is reversed. So for some of you, this is really encouraging you to focus on self-care. King and Queen of Pentacles are really good with money. They're really good with nurturing, with creating, but sometimes they have a hard time asking for help or taking care of themselves. And so if you find yourself in that situation, this is a little nudge from the universe to prioritize self-care, self-needs, and never feel afraid, ashamed, or just even hesitant about asking for what it is that you need. This is the time to do it. If you're normally very strong and this is not kind of like your energy, what I would say this is indicating is a need to ground yourself, because she's the Queen of Earth. So when she's reversed, sometimes you're lacking grounding, and that can be in your activities. You're working too hard, you're playing too much, one end or the other, so avoid those extremes. Also make sure that, if you were wondering, hey, should I go for this? Can I get it? Am I worth it? This is really helping you to embrace your self-worth, okay? So self-care, self-worth, and grounding is really what the Queen of Pentacles is bringing through here. Don't be shy. I mean, we have a card here with a skittish totem. Deers and in general are just or deer in general, I should say, are very sort of shy animals. So, even just approach things. I would say if there's a question you have about finances, for instance, get your information together and approach the person in a kind way too. So it goes both ways. Someone else may be uncomfortable and you want to kind of normalize it and make it welcoming to discuss this. All right. We have a card here about getting things in writing, good recognition, getting things done. Love the Three of Pentacles, one of my favorite cards in the Minor Arcana. You've worked hard to get to where you're at. So we have a mountain here, which represents that sort of hike, that journey, that experience that we go through when we're learning, when we're growing, when we're trying to be the best version of ourselves. Generally speaking, the traditional card would represent mastery. So this means in many cases, if you've been studying or attempting to learn or do something, you've now kind of gotten that together. If you're embarking on something new, maybe going to school or trying to expand your experiences, this is a big nod from the universe saying yes. If you're a writer or creative, or you're working on a written document, so maybe you're a scientist or a mathematician and you're putting together schematics or you're putting together a proposal, this is good. Really pay attention to the fine details, okay? It's all worth it. And once you get a chance to see this from a higher perspective, then you're gonna realize just how much it was worth this part of the journey. All right, let's look at the deep past. This is what we want to avoid. So limiting thoughts and ideas are the simplest ways to kind of look at the devil. It's not always a creature. It's not always scary. like I'll pull the traditional card as we're going through this, but in the traditional illustration, you're just going to see lovers chained in front of the devil. The devil just really represents something that is not optimal. So we're actually going to do a little comparison here of the lovers card and the devil card, because I always think it's important to see, how you can elevate the energy and move beyond the limits of the devil. Okay, there we go. So let's look at this. Tarot 101. Most of you know this if you watch my channel, but have you ever noticed how it's just the lovers in two different locations? If you don't read cards a lot or don't look at these two cards, sometimes you forget that. Both of them have angels. One is of the light, one is fallen, but it's an angel in both cards and it's lovers in both cards, and it's just the environment and the chains that really change within this. So if we look at the traditional card, we have that key element there. Something that's tying you to something that you don't want. It's an anchor. And so what you really want to look at with the devil card is how to remove an anchor. And this is a limiting thought. I can't, I won't, I'll never. It can be also something where I'm not good enough, or things like that, where you put it out there and the universe starts to listen, and you don't want that to happen. So we're going to shake through that, get that barnacle off your ship. The other thing it can be is a contract that is not good for you. So you want to meet that challenge face to face and say, this isn't it. So if someone is trying to get you to do something for free and you're working really hard, or they're charging you too much for something and you're like, you know what, I actually have done some research and this is maybe 2 or 3 times more than it needs to be, then speak your truth, clear that contract, clear the ground. And this is what you need to do at the beginning of the month. If you're watching me live, you can get this done before you're even into the energy of July. By the way, we're reading for July. And if you want to see the June readings, they're on the main channel. So anyway, I would say it's really important right now to embrace unconditional love, opportunities that are equal. So things that the devil hates are honesty, transparency, and equity. So if everything's hunky-dory, you're going to be able to avoid this. But if there's anything in your past that's anchoring you down, this is the time to move beyond it. We have the beautiful Ten of Cups here, and the Ten of Cups is in the reverse state. It really doesn't matter on this card so much because of the way that the card was illustrated. So I'm going to say in this moment in time, actually I'm looking at this. I guess this is the upright illustration because she put the numbers on the top. So it is upright. I take it back. The good news on this one is it doesn't really matter, and I love this illustration. You get exactly what you put out into the universe. And that's a reminder here. But the Ten of Cups is auspicious, like super auspicious. If I'm pulling a reading for myself or pulling cards for myself, I want to get something like Ace of Cups, Ten of Cups, or Lovers. What it shows is magnetism. So it's saying you're in a sort of energetic state right now where people want to be around you. So there could be, I mentioned that house. There could be new people coming into your auric field and they're saying, hey, I want to be your friend, or maybe they're going to ask you on a date, or maybe it's a business opportunity that's opening up, or maybe they just really are paying attention to you. Ten of Cups and star energy all bring that sort of radiance around you. So I like it, and it's a really nice payoff for this. This is working on yourself, valuing yourself. This is the work. This is like the diploma. It's telling me that self-worth has been earned. El Diablo's going back from whence he came, and this is allowing for new things to enter into your life. Unconditional love, unconditional appreciation, and again, this feeling that you're a part of something bigger, which you are. This is the antithesis of the Three of Cups, which is cliquish. The Ten of Cups is much more group-oriented and much more inclusive. So inclusivity, getting part of bigger groups and organizations, even if you're retired and partnered up and everything, this is still saying getting into the world at large and kind of plugging into something is going to help you because you get what you give. And also getting into that larger group flow can be really beautiful. That's why group meditations, group yoga, things of that nature are so wonderful. It's because you're in that energy of love, frequency of love, dancing, art, I don't care what you're doing. There's something great about it. By the way, we'll take again this fear of failure, which this can also be out of this, because it is in the past. It's in the deep past, in fact. You can do the whole reading with 3 cards, and this kind of ties them all together. So this and this is success, but this is success from the group at large. This is you finally not taking yourself for granted, and this is success, on a universal stage as well. So love, self-worth, and then this sort of general success and graduating this lesson, okay? I like it a lot. All right, so we have a very different version of Emperor and Empress in this deck. Actually, well, the Emperor and the Empress, they have, there is, whatchamacallit, they're trees. This is actually Four of Cups, or Six of Cups rather, but the Emperor and Empress remind me a lot of this. And so one thing that I'm also looking at here, because it reminds me of the way that it's illustrated in this deck, is the sooner you can really take care of yourself and own your path, your experience, the better. So I talked about the root-bound energy of the plant. And so some of you are feeling like, and I'm looking back at my replay, so it was reversed. So some of you are feeling topsy-turvy. You're right on the heels of a tower event. It already happened. Maybe it wasn't of your choosing. You're going to be fine, but you have to give yourself a chance to basically just rest a little bit and let the dust settle here. So let's take a moment to look at the traditional Six of Cups, which is partnership, and the fact that this particular Six of Cups is showing that you need to be grounded to receive that is kind of telling. The Ten of Cups and the Six of Cups together are kind of beautiful, because I'm surprised they didn't put like two doves or something on this one for that one. This is a really unusual Six of Cups. So for this, I'm going to pull the traditional. I like this deck, but I am going to go back and forth because it's so out there. So here's your traditional Six of Cups. It's a really nice complement to this, because this is friends, family, loved ones, sometimes marriage. This is best friends. Some of you might be engaging in a partnership that is elevated and has both love and sort of and this loyalty. And this usually indicates past life energies. So you're meeting a karmic partnership. This time you're going to turn it around. And that's what we actually see happening here. You're turning around this karmic cycle so it's successful. You got a bunch of sixes coming through here. But it is important to look at that different Six of Cups because it was just so unusual. What the Six of Cups can represent also are complementary energies. One person may be behind the scenes, so the roots on this represent something that is not seen. And then the other person is more in the spotlight. And you might also have like different communication styles. It's interesting when people say, I want a soulmate. Be careful what you wish for. Make sure that you're asking for a soulmate that has done the work and is coming through with clear and clean karma and clear and clean conscience, because sometimes it can be the anchor, it can be the challenge, and we don't want to have to relive all of that kind of karmic stuff. So in this one, what I see is the other lesson is not trying to change one another. You unconditionally, the antithesis of the conditional constraints or restraints of this is the lovers. So I unconditionally love the Six of Cups energy coming in. That's what you want to sort of see. I see them for their sameness, for their differentness, for their good, for their challenges, and I accept it and I celebrate it. And I'm not going to step in and try to mother or boss or change that energy. If you can do that, you can succeed through this sort of karmic cycle that's coming through with relationships. We'll go a lot deeper into that in a moment when I do the love component of it, but I do like seeing that. For yourself, this is also saying that some of you might be tired of kind of a hermit phase or a monastic phase where you've been very, very busy working, because this can show a lot of energy. I mean, this is work, finance, and development, and this is getting through it. And this is job well done, but it's sort of like, it's not grounded. So this is really nice, showing that sort of ungrounded energy, and it's saying, I've got to find some permanence. I have to find some friends. I have to find some things out there that connect me to the real world. So it feels like some of you just want to prioritize socializing, and I'm all for it. All right, your future card is good. It's great, actually. Six of Wands, such a beautiful Six of Wands. You've been through it, right? You've been through some stuff, and you've earned exactly the success that is coming in here. You're rising above, you're showing your true colors. Traditional Six of Wands would show someone riding in on a fancy horse, a sassy horse, actually, as I've been noting recently. And I've been pulling it a few times this month. So, one of the themes already that I can see in the month ahead is that of success. Each of the signs is taking a different journey. For you, it's overcoming that feeling of I can't, I won't, or this isn't happening, like disbelief. And I believe once you can step into that, some really cool things will start to happen. I was trying to find it real quick, but I can't. So anyway, trust me on this one. In the Six of Wands, you would see a person riding in on a horse. And basically, one of the important pieces of this is sometimes you have to lead the charge. For you, the other thing is you might be, here it is, you might be an agent of change more than anything. So this is transformational. We have a beautiful butterfly on this one. This one is a lot more grounded in reality. It has such a different energy to it as well. Still, we have the beautiful blue tones and green tones in it. But again, there's always someone that's going to question you. There's always a naysayer. Sometimes it's even the person that's right by your side. So your challenge right now is to rise above and say, I'm not here to do the same old, same old. I'm here to change and to try something new. Be the butterfly, folks. Okay? All right, so let's take a look now at how you're showing up. This is why the Queen of Pentacles came through for you. This is the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords is reversed. The Ten of Swords represents healing. Even in this card, we can see a lightness at the top. So for many of you, there's just this feeling of exhaustion, fatigue, and basically what you want to do is take special care of yourself. I'm not going to spend more time going through the cards because I've done it a few times already, but in the traditional one, if you Google it, you'll see that there's a new dawn behind the Ten of Swords figure. It's usually pretty graphic. You'll see blood on that card and everything, but there's a new day that's dawning and it's symbolic. It's not like that's actually happening. It's just saying sometimes we have to go through that feeling of I failed, or I let myself down, or I let someone else down. The truth of the matter is it's internal. This isn't how it's really happening. We look at the center and we see support, respect, and attention in a positive way. We see success and basically elevation, but still there's this internal fear or this can be perfectionist tendencies and things of that nature. The rest of the cards are good. So one thing that you want to work on is, I strongly believe this, there is no such thing as true failure if you learn. And if you learn and grow from an experience, it can be heartbreaking, it can be difficult, it can be frustrating, it can be infuriating, but it can also be exactly what the soul needed to get to the next level and never repeat a karmic cycle, in which case you didn't fail, you learned. Let's just take failure out of the vocabulary. Just say, I learned, and it was a really difficult lesson, and I release it with gratitude to the universe. Please take that. I'm ready to receive an upgrade, a more pleasant experience. I don't need to, another t-shirt, I need to do merch down the road. No pain, no pain. We don't need to go through pain anymore, folks. In the 80s, there was this thing with aerobics, like no pain, no gain. No pain, no problem. So you're through with the pain, folks. And it's time to heal, it's time to rise above, it's time to be kinder to yourself. When I go into health, I'll dig into this a little deeper, but the Ten of Swords can also represent chronic pain, fatigue, and sometimes even acute pain. If any of this is going on, pause the video, go to the doctor, and you can watch this on replay later. So always take care of yourself, and when this card pops up and you have any sort of flare-up, you want to make sure you take care of it. But the emotional piece is what hit me based on the illustrations here, okay? And yeah, I'm reading in the chat, someone is saying, it gives you a chance to look at things from a different perspective. It does. Time heals everything. It really does over time. But it doesn't, we're never told how much time we need to get the perspective. I'm just giving you confirmation that that perspective will come, and you'll be so happy that you were kind to yourself. Rising above, we have a bird, a butterfly, and a mountain. It's a common theme. So I haven't yet decided on the title for this video, but it does look like it's time to rise up and rise above and get perspective. Okay, let's look at your environment. God, you got all the love cards, didn't you? I'm so happy for you. I don't often see this. So we have the Four of Wands here. What a beautiful Four of Wands. Very unusual. Traditionally, you would see a lover, two lovers rather, in the center of this card. So this is good. This is great. This is fantastic. So this is something that is going to last, because this usually would indicate, marriage or a contract. Not the same sort of a contract as the Ten of Pentacles, but it's more a commitment of love, not the paper. It's just saying like, I love you, but it can be marriage. This is best friends, and this is someone who has your back. This is like sometimes sibling rivalry too, but what we have here is deep love. So you're opening yourself up to receive deep love right now if you're ready for it. What I like about this is it's holding the liminal space. So this is saying I can see it. It's like an iris when we look at this of the eye. Not so much mine because I have dark brown eyes, but for those of you with blue eyes, you have something like this. And it doesn't matter which way this is, even though I got it in reverse. It's just saying that things may not meet your cookie cutter expectations. Your perfect opportunity could be just a little bit left of center, just a little bit unusual. Almost everything you wanted with just, a little spice, a little something extra. And you're being asked to unconditionally accept love or see that. And I talked about it before he went into the next room because Apollo, he gets nervous sometimes when I do the videos and he needs his space. But I already talked about this on a previous video. But when I adopted him, there were a few things that I had to think about. I had a friend that talked some sense into me. I thought that I wanted a puppy. She said, no, you don't. She said, there's a lot of dogs out there that need a good home. She said, get an adult dog. He was like 2 years old when I got him. He's going to be easier to take care of, or she, because I didn't know at the time. They're going to be easier to take care of. And you're doing something good for the dog and for yourself. I said, okay. I said, but will I bond with him? She said, yes, you'll bond with him. Just give it a shot. But when I got him, he had some challenges. Like, he has plates and screws because he was hit by a car and he was abused and all this other stuff. But like, he taught me how unconditional love can change things. So I never tried to change, fix, or, his past and his history was his past and his history. I just kind of opened a door and said, are you ready for a different chapter? It's not going to be the same with me if you're open to opening up. And I had to give him a month or so and he started to open up. But it wasn't me discounting anything. It's a different chapter. It's a different story. If you can approach this with friends and situations and everything, maybe it didn't work before. Maybe you feel like, you weren't treated right or something. There's someone coming through that's not a repeat of that. There's something coming through where fears or anxieties could push you away from, like in my case, he was the perfect match for me, but I had to be willing to get over some preconceptions that I have to have a puppy, that would have to have a perfect history and all this other stuff. Not really. No, I didn't need all of that. He ended up being exactly what I was manifesting and needing at that time. So anyway, that's my little story about Apollo. He's come through twice this month because he's a teacher as well. I pulled in an old soul. I reached out into the universe and kind of called in a familiar. I wasn't really thinking of it in that way, but I was looking for a soul that was deep and spiritual and empathetic and ready to have some happy times. And I had to wait for that energy to come through as well. And then I knew when I met it. So it was a different form of manifestation, but some of you might be doing something very similar with a friend or loved one or business opportunity, because these can cut in all of those different directions. Okay. All right. Hold space. That's why in my channeled messages, it was all about the space in between, aka the liminal space, aka the here and now. We have the Father of Swords, also known as the King of Swords, and he's reversed. Don't second guess your wisdom. We've got an owl on this, folks. This is about wisdom and insight. And trust what you see and hear. When I think of the owl, they're wise and they use their senses. So there is, again, this feeling of disbelief. It could also come through, my guides are telling me right now, it's in the tonality or the way that people are saying something. You may also know to trust or distrust that. Trust that, whatever it is. If you're listening to someone and you're like, I need to ask more questions, ask more questions. But when you know what you need to do yourself, don't second guess that, okay? So listen to your clairvoyance, and typically the first message and the loudest one that comes through is the best. And that's all I really have to say on that. This is an outspoken card, so getting to the point, getting in and out of conversations or disputes, really important. Calling out nonsense. If someone is doing something that is wrong, saying, checking in and saying, are you okay? And also, please don't do that. Making sure that doesn't slide under the radar. So I like the power of clear, concise communication. It's also legal. Queen and King of Swords. If someone's doing something that's unjust, call it out and stop it. Stop it now before it gets too late, and that's super important. Hopes, fears, and opportunities. Some of you may have a difficult time using your voice. You may have a difficult time receiving constructive criticism. These are things you can work on. You're going to master them eventually this month because we have a mastery card. The final card here in the spread here, the outcome, is the Ace of Swords in reverse. Editing is the number one thing that I see with this, and acting without hesitation. So we were talking a big thing that could be coming through, legal contracts. This is a contract that is not good. This is a good team around you that's going to support you and help you out. But this is you and or your lawyer speaking up, talking out, editing, circling, redlining things. If something doesn't work for you, push back, negotiate. You don't have to accept the first offer. If you do, then just make sure you're reading the fine print and knowing what you're signing. We don't want a repeat of this. It's basically saying, I see this and that's not what I'm looking for. Advocate for your rights. For those of you that are creatives out there, intellectual property, what is the other thing that you get when residuals and things of that nature, make sure that all of that stuff is lined up and you're taking care of yourself. In a house, make sure that you get an inspector if you're going to buy something, since I was looking at a house. If you see things there and you expect them to be there, put them in the contract. Get everything in writing. A little handshake is not enough. You need to have things on the dotted line, okay? Ultimately, I see your voice, your throat chakra opening up and you being able to be more outspoken this month. And that's a good thing, folks, okay? We're going to expand the forecast now to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny right after I take a drink. All right, let's begin with mind, body, and spirit, aka your health card. And guess what? We have an expression card. It was reversed, but let's look at it in the upright position. Thanks, angels, for helping me express my creator, my inner creator. And we see her singing. We see her opening her throat. So just as I was drinking to make sure that I was hydrated and that my vocal cords were happy and everything, make sure that you're taking care of your voice. So those of you that are singers out there, this is a big an important message for you. Rest, get enough sleep, make sure you're hydrating yourself. And when it comes to public speaking or speaking out or speaking in general, it's super therapeutic. So some of you may be choosing to work with a professional. I always remind people at this point, if you need to talk to a therapist, a financial advisor, whatever, always lean into that professional. I'm here as a tarot reader, but there's plenty of experts around you, and we saw them coming through in all the different cards here. But part of the therapy this month could be speaking out, speaking up, speaking in general. And for some of you that are looking for something fun to connect you to others, it could be public speaking, it could be singing, it could be writing, it could be teaching or mentorship, using your voice. It's going to be different for each and every one of you. And for some of you, it might just be you writing it down in a journal and talking to yourself and just saying, we're going to work through this. We're going to figure this out. Okay. I don't care where the dialogue is, here, but it needs to happen. All right. And that's the message with health. Let's take a look now at the general sort of spread for additional health messages. I already talked about acute or chronic pain or fatigue. Hit pause, go talk to your doctor if anything's flaring up. The good news is the outcome cards are favorable. We have a success card here. These two together can also show surgery. What you want to do is make sure you're getting second opinions for that always. And speak your concerns, ask your questions, be informed about that for those of you that need that. For the rest of you, this is just walking away from painful experiences and allowing yourself now to be surrounded by people that love and accept you, using your voice, not being afraid of success. And again, I feel like there's going to be more opportunities to speak up, speak out. The other things that I see here, again, with the grounding energy, meditation is good. Even like I'm on a higher floor, I'm not on the ground floor. So I keep a little bit of earth with me out there. So that's what's happening there with all the pots. So I have different plants. I have plants inside, and yes, they're all real. So including all the orchids. So I always have the element of earth inside, so that inside, outside, and around, so that I can ground myself. So meditating, playing sports, walking your dog, talking to someone, writing something down, getting comfortable with your finances, somehow grounding it in reality and in the everyday world. Super important for you as we speak. And for some of you, I have good news. If there's something challenging that you've been through, a painful experience, an addiction, something that you just didn't think you could push through, this is a success card here. So you can move through this. It may feel like you're, moving mountains and that you had to kind of turn things upside down, but ultimately we have healing, success, and transformation. We have love and support. and we have a newfound voice. What a beautiful sort of read when it comes to health. It's, again, I read the energy, I'm not just reading the body. We're going to move now to wealth, which is also multifaceted, looking at resources, life purpose, and career. I try to look at it for different, not everyone's working and not everyone's focusing on money, so I'll expand it in a moment. Looking at the general energy of that, well, hello, is this familiar? Cycles, we have Helios. Helios, of course, connected to the sun, and the sun card is usually an annual cycle. For those of you that I believe I read for Cancer yesterday that watch Cancer, one of my first messages was a new annual cycle. There's a lot of synchronicities and similarities when I read two signs back to back, and so you're getting it here too. We see Helios taking the reins here, so it's really about you taking control, letting your inner sort of power shine through, because we got the solar energy here, and basically it's like the sun card. Rebirth is what this is. And in this rebirth or this genesis is something new, something different, and that's why it works out. So let's say, for instance, we're going to start in an unusual path. You were made redundant, fired, quit, somehow stepped out of a job, but you're looking for new work. Or you've retired. Either way, this is saying this new cycle is better. It's going to be more successful. What you want to be looking for in the new cycle, whether you are looking for work, or you are, or also maybe retired and looking for new activities, what I see here is the people are everything. So do you like the people in the new activity or the new job that you're seeking out? Do you feel like you're set up for success from the beginning, or is it again a repeat of this? So make sure that the people and the sort of, speaking of the pot, that the pot is big enough, that there's enough room to grow. And it's really good to go. I feel like you're going to find your next big experience through friends, existing relationships, Four of Wands. You should be able to speak up and speak out. Maybe in the past, people told you to be quiet. Well, I have an angel here that's just screaming at the top of her lungs. So this is your chance, or singing at the top of her lungs. This is your chance to use your voice. So I want to see a good group of people, room for growth, and room to speak in whatever new engagement it is that you're looking for. Whether, again, you're looking for a job or an activity. Specifically for those that are job seeking, don't underestimate your educational experiences or your ability to travel through challenge. Use that to your advantage and say how much you've learned, even from something difficult. So if you're on an interview and someone says, well, what happened here? You can always frame it up in a positive light. Try to do that. That's going to be good for you. Now, shifting the lens to those of you that might be employed, it does feel like some of you have been itching to change the job, either the job title, the job itself, or to get out of this company. There's a limiting energy. It feels like you might have overcome most of it, but sometimes you're still feeling like, it's not, you're going in the wrong direction, right? And even when people have good intentions, maybe they're not following through. This can be someone, sometimes it's hard to work for friends and family, because this can be a best friend, and they're thinking of themselves, because this is more of an ego pointed thing and it's pointing towards the devil. So you got to make sure that the other opportunity is looking out for you too. It's a two-way street. It's a handshake. Okay. If you want to look for something new, don't worry about, I can't do it. Everything that I see here is success. So these two cards are of success, but you have to go for it. You have to put yourself out there. You might even need to do it yourself. This is entrepreneurial energy, okay? Taking all levels of work and employment out of this, reading it just as finance, because wealth is wealth. If you've made mistakes in the past, remember, no such thing as failure. We put words on this like, debt or bankruptcy or errors or whatever, but what I'm seeing here is stronger cycles now, more intelligence now, more control now, more restraint now. And I feel like you're going to be okay. So focus on moving forward, moving up. Elevation is what I see here. Get to know your budget. Talk to people around you. You've got so many people here, but the ultimate thing here is success. You're on a good track now. Let's continue to embrace that. Let's move to love. It can be romantic, it can be platonic, it can be familiar. Let's take a look and see what the energy is around this first. Trust your vibes. This is what I was talking about earlier. So this card says, thank you, angels. Today I choose to trust my intuition and your guidance. So High Priestess energy reversed is the antithesis of this card, so we really want to make sure you're trusting your heart, you're trusting your intuition. And I like that we got the heart here because we're looking at love. So yesterday it was the Magician that came through, and I said you can't fake the feeling of, like, especially when it comes to physical attraction. It's either there or it's not. The chemistry will tell you if it's the right connection. This is also true for opportunities. If you're not feeling it, if you're not feeling that sense of wonderment or inspiration or curiosity, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Okay. Let's take a closer look at the different levels of relationships here. If you're in an existing relationship and things are good, let's look at it from that perspective first. I really look at 4 because I look at the perfect relationship and then the relationship that might be challenged. If it's a strong relationship, there's something out of your control. And it could be physical loss in your life, like you lost someone, or there might be material loss, or there could be pain in the body. Your partner could be in pain. There's some things we can't control because they've happened or someone else made the decision. What I love about this, in the loving and supporting version of this, is that the relationship is strong. We have the 10 of Cups here. We have like best friend, best advocate, and also this sort of strong through thick and thin energy. So you can travel through these challenges. You've done it before, you'll do it again, and we have success in the outcome. What's the key? Communication. 2 swords. Bringing it to the table and then speaking in a frank manner. You have to be able to be honest with one another, and you have to be able to be frank. There may be one partner that comes through a little bit too direct, and you'll have to kind of figure out how to navigate that, but that's the only thing that I see as a tipping point. Now, for those of you in a relationship where you're like, I'm not feeling so good about it, it's not perfect. The reason is there was probably a secret kept. The devil can be a secret or a limitation or addiction or fear. It's come to the surface. You get to choose. It's the same thing. It's just a little bit deeper if you guys aren't honest about it. And it may be hurtful. Why didn't you trust me? Why didn't you tell me? Well, they're talking now. Is it enough? Is it too little, too late? Only you can decide that. What I will say is there is an ability to do, this is doing the work. This is success, and this is communication. Communication can heal this if you want it to. There's a lot to love. There's a lot to talk about. You're going to have to sort out if this is too little, too late, or if you like the other stuff enough. But I do see a need to now set a new rule. This is laying down the law too. It's just like getting justice here. Say, if we're going to continue on this path together, this can't happen again. So really setting a clear boundary and expectation for success. And that's my read for those of you that are going through something challenging. For everyone else, if you're looking for love right now, can you find it? Yeah. There is this sort of internalized pain or fear from the past. Something didn't work out in the past. It's not the present. It's in the deep past, but it's still affecting you. You may need to talk to somebody about that. Don't underestimate your power, because the power energy is coming through in the work. So we're looking at solar plexus and heart. 3rd and 4th chakras need some healing. So however you want to do that, meditation, therapy, yoga, Pilates, I don't care. But there's some work there that needs to be done to open it up. Once you do that, we see karmic partnership coming through, possibly an air sign coming into your midst. And I will say this, it could get serious really quickly. 10 of Cups, 6 of Cups, 4 of Wands, that's commitment. That might scare you. Some of you might be afraid of failing in the commitment, and it's all good and there's nothing to worry about. Take your time getting to know the person. Talk a lot. This is a time to talk a lot before you get too serious in the physical realm, like, romantic and intimacy. Like, do the verbal sort of stuff first. Talk it out and make sure that you know everything. And if you can talk about your hopes and fears with this person and they're still sticking around, then it's time to go to the next level, perhaps. Okay. If you're single and happy, good for you. Right now, I would say the things that are opening up are still self-care, by and large. Your network is expanding, though. Are you ready for it to expand? Because 10 of Cups, 6 of Cups, and 4 of Wands, lots of people around you. A really smart person, too. This could be like, again, a lawyer or someone that just shoots from the hip and tells you exactly how it is. I like him. I think this could be a really great advisor for those of you that are looking for a mentor, advisor, or friend. And it's like best friend potential, because the 4 of Wands and the Father of Swords, so the King of Swords here, really cool energy. Okay, so I see your network expanding. The only thing here we want to focus on is not overextending yourself, not giving into fear, and making sure that you've healed this wound from the past, because it's showing up universally for all of the signs. So it's going to be different for everybody. Let's move on to destiny and see what's going on. What's it all about this month? So we have the buffalo coming through, and I see sustainability, strength, power, all of these things coming through with this. And you think about how key like bison and buffalo and things like that were to early cultures. So I always think of this sort of wisdom and ancient energy with the buffalo as well. One thing here is don't underestimate your strength or your power, because I'm just looking at how imposing the animal is. So I'd say the other thing to focus on is how strong you are, how capable you are, and how able you are to really deal with the next chapter in your life. All right, beautiful messages, folks. We're going to expand this now to take a look at sun, rising, moon messages in particular. Like I said earlier, this can be used for all aspects of your chart, but I like to drill a little bit deeper into all of these. Sun, ooh, what a beautiful one for the sun. Rising, just what I was talking about. And moon, all great. Loving all of these. Okay, so let's take it card by card, aspect by aspect. All right, so for everybody that was born under the sign of Leo, we have the Wheel of Fortune coming through for you. This is such a great card for the sun sign. This one in particular is like a dream catcher. The ability for you to set out an intention, set out a web, and basically get what you're looking for. We have the owl coming through again, saying trust your wisdom. We have the sun and moon in this, showing balance and different aspects of creativity and power. And it's going to be a good month. You can turn it around, basically. I was thinking of the song, Turn the Beat Around, but you're basically turning the Wheel of Fortune around into a different direction. So if you don't like where you're at, this is the time to make those changes and not fear the changes. It is an upright Wheel of Fortune. More opportunity comes knocking. Good changes are coming your way. And if you need or want something, push and advocate for what it is that you are worth. I like it. In career, you should be moving up or expanding. In relationships, it should be going on to the next level. And personally, you should be feeling expansion. Wherever the expansion is lacking, that's where you want to put your attention this month. All right. Rising and ascendant, strength. I was looking at the buffalo and I was just thinking it's a big creature. It reminds me of something that's strong. So this makes sense. Strength in this deck is reversed. Notice how strength is lacking a figure. Usually it's a divine feminine figure, but there's nobody here opening up its mouth and controlling it. You're nobody's puppet. You're nobody's fool. And you're not being sort of played. So I love that. But what you do need to do is take care of yourself. So if you're feeling vulnerable, if you are feeling unsure, uncertain, just take a little extra time to practice the self-care that we were talking about. So this is rising and ascendant can influence your work, your professional spheres, and we saw so many great cards this month. The 10 of Cups, the 6 of Cups, the 4 of Wands. Love. The only thing that was missing here was the Lovers. We have the Devil, which is a lower version of it, so it's even here in some shape or form. You got a lot of love this month, so make sure that you lean on others. And sometimes we have historically looked at asking for help as a sign of weakness. I see it as a sign of strength. So ask for help, lean on others, accept that helping hand if you need to. Just a couple of quick notes with strength reverse, though. If we were to look at a traditional illustration, and wow, talk about synchronicity, it was right there. The traditional card always bothers me a little bit because the lion isn't really happy about having someone's hands in its mouth. So I always like to warn people, or the good news with this is if there is something challenging, you can overcome it. But it isn't a sustainable energy to keep overcoming this. So let's say there's a person in your life, they were trying to get away with something, you caught them, they didn't, but it took a lot of energy. Do you always want to be forcing them to say things or do things? You shouldn't have to. It should be easier. So this is about letting go of the need to control in that way. And it's also saying if somebody comes into your life and they try to like what is the ventriloquist? They try to project their voice into yours and say, no, not this, not now. That's not what I said. You're going to edit. You're going to speak up and say, we agreed to this, not this, or where did this come from? Because they might be trying to pull one over on you. So you're going to use your voice and exert your strength in a positive, affirmative, clear way. You're going to stand up for yourself if you need to, okay? Enough said with that. Let's move on to Moon. So we have the Seven of Wands. So you might be the voice of reason. You might also be the one that's pushing back on unrealistic expectations. This is such a gorgeous and highly unusual Seven of Wands. So Seven of Wands typically has a character pushing back like this, and they're a little forlorn. They're like, how did I get myself into this? In this one, you don't have to worry. You can just step forward and say, I'm going to do this. I need your help with this. This is unrealistic. And you're just basically coming in as a spotlight, as a luminary, like we saw in the card, and you're just going to sort of like hold your ground. And that's the best thing that the Seven of Wands can do, is hold their ground and wait until the other person relents, because it is a relentless card, and I like that about it. It's reversed, so it's also telling you to work smarter, not necessarily harder. Here's your traditional Seven of Wands. The person is a little bit exasperated when we look at their face, but they're holding their own. Reverse is saying, if I just did one less thing, it would take me to what? Success. And I'd be able to do what? Get a bird's eye or butterfly's view of the situation. So my message, especially for the moon, and it's so apt, is be the light, because the moon reflects. It reflects. Sometimes people need a mirror too. And one of the decks that I was going to use today, the moon is a mirror. And so it's sort of like, yeah, hold that mirror up to someone else and say, do you see how this appears to me? Do you understand why we're talking about this? You don't have to fight so hard. You just have to show. Show up, hold up the mirror, let them see it, reflect positivity as well, or project positivity. And a great sort of protective technique is to put mirrors around you and basically, push back anything that's unrealistic. Work smarter, not harder. Be the light, and reflect anything that doesn't make sense back to the source and help them see why it doesn't make sense. Help show them, highlight it and say, we didn't agree to this, okay? Beautifully powerful messages. So nice to use this deck too. I haven't used it in a while. By the way, special call out to Paula B, who gifted 5 memberships. I'll say thank you at the very end to everybody who's participated today, but it's always nice to see something like that while I'm doing a live. I appreciate it. Okay. We have one other major component today. If you just joined, this is a really special part, so stick around. We're going to meditate together. I'll play a quick sound bath, and then we're going to look at a final card. The final card is your chance to ask something that I haven't yet answered. I do my best with these general readings to look at every possible sort of nook and cranny, but there are some things specific to your life. So scribble it down, hold it in your heart, hold it in your head, and after we meditate, we'll take a look at it. While I'm getting the sound bowl set up and getting ready to meditate, hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also give me a follow on social media if you would like to. It's always my name, Nicholas Ashbaugh. I saw this question pop up. I try to say it as much as possible. I don't offer private readings. So if anyone offers one in the comments here or anywhere else or in a direct message, it isn't me. So be wise when it comes to that. You can always find my official social handles on my website and also the About tab here. Okay, let's get into the meditation, folks. With respect to that, this is a chance for you to just basically heal something from the past. I'm going to work with the throat because that's what came through a couple of times here. And we're going to work with pretty close to this color. We'll do a nice blue. It could be a little bit lighter, kind of like what we see on this card, but any shade blue is fine. And we're also going to work with butterflies because we're going to place a butterfly kind of like this right over the throat as we do the meditation. So I'll pull it back up when we get closer to it. Right now, I would love for you just to close your eyes, take a nice deep breath. And on the exhale, allow your body to relax and sink into the chair. If you're driving or walking, you can listen to this portion later and really partake of it. You can just listen to my voice now if you're doing that. Otherwise, allow yourself to just drift a little bit and let go of any preconceived notions of what meditation should feel like, any thoughts that might be ricocheting in your head, any sort of mental noise, just let it go. And just focus on the sound of your inhalation and exhalation. Breathing just strong enough so you can actually hear it and feel it. And slowly allowing that to go into a regular cadence. With your eyes closed, imagine that a butterfly, you can look if you want to see what the butterfly looks at. So take a look at this butterfly, then close your eyes and imagine that this is landing on your throat, throat chakra right here. It's gentle. If you've ever had a butterfly, it kind of tickles a little bit. It's not a heavy sort of sensation. And as the butterfly sits there, it gently moves its wings, just enough so that you can kind of feel that the energy is starting to move, almost like if you're fanning yourself, you can feel that movement of particles. What it's going to do is help open up the chakra, and it's going to move around and do a little bit of psychic healing if there's any part of your voice that has had a difficulty in speaking up, or if someone shut it down. The butterfly is just going to gently move its wings while we meditate, and it's going to open it up. Imagine that as it's sitting there gently moving its wings, you start to feel this beautiful cooling energy, like the color of my shirt or the color of the butterfly. Blue is all around you, and it's permeating your auric field, and it's also creating this cool sensation that's gently healing and opening up your throat. That's all you have to focus on for today's meditation. Lie back, allow for your throat chakra to open up, feel that your voice is strong and worthy of being heard, and relax. And I'll be right back to look at the final question. Take another deep breath and allow now for the butterfly to leave the throat chakra. Notice that it flies up above you for just a moment, saying, just how divine and how worthy you are of all the movement and growth and success that wants to come into your life. So embrace that, celebrate that, accept that. And now gently open your eyes if you haven't already. Come back into the here, the now. And focus, if you will, now on the question that you have for me that I've yet to answer. It can be anything. You can make it up right now as we're shuffling the cards. You can also have it just be an open question to spirit, like, what do I need to focus on? So whatever it is, state your question or intention now, and let's get a read on it. Oh, how beautiful. So we got everything except the lovers today. We have the 10 of Cups, the 6 of Cups, the 4 of Wands, and the 2 of Cups. All that's missing is the lovers, folks. Maybe an Ace of Cups too, but you got most of the love cards. So suffice it to say, for those of you that are like, Nicholas, am I going to be able to love myself, find love, get acceptance, do something that brings me joy? Yeah, we've got the 2 of Cups here. It's auspicious. So there's a reason to celebrate. There's new people coming into your life. There's new opportunities coming into your life. Love yourself and love others. Let love be the magnet that attracts unconditional love into your life. It always begins within. But there's nothing negative that I can say about the 2 of Cups. It's an auspicious and a positive answer to any question. One thing that I can add is that you don't have to do whatever you're trying to do alone. You got every partner card I could possibly get today, for the most part. Again, minus the lovers. So open yourself up to partnership, to friendship, to community, because it's certainly opening its arms and its eyes and its energy to you. Okay? So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful reading today. I really enjoyed being present. If you would like to give back, you can do that. Again, Paula already did. Thank you so much. I'm going to take a moment here to say thanks to everybody. Again, it's the super chat and super sticker is this icon. On replay, it'll just be a heart and it'll look like thanks. All right, for that, I'd just like to say thanks to everybody. So give me a moment here to welcome all the new members And then because it's a smaller reading, I can also say thanks to the existing members here. And then we'll go to super stickers and whatnot. So we'll start with the members first. Okay, so we got a bunch of new members here. I'm just going to read it out in chat because I can see it. So Paula, thank you so much for gifting it to Liza, to Michelle, to Monica, to Koala, to Elizabeth. And yeah, that was just beautiful of you to allow for some new members to come through. So in addition to all of those, let me see if there was anybody else. I think that's everybody for today. So great. Thank you to that. Thank you to Paula, and welcome to the new members. We'll be doing some new and exciting things in the month ahead with the membership. So it's great to have you here. All right. Saying thanks to the super stickers and thanks as well. Kicking it off today was Elena. Thanks, Elena, for that. I appreciate your contribution. And I think that was everything for today. Always just a pleasure to have everyone in the room here too. Let me see if I missed any members here. Nicole, Sapo, Lynette, let's see. And I think I got just about everybody. I think I did. Elena, if I didn't say your name already. And I think that's everyone. Once in a blue moon, there we go. So thanks everyone for being a part of today. If you like this, do me a favor and click the share button here. It's right under the video when it's on replay, and it's a great way for new people to experience this. So you can share a link to your Twitter, you can share it to your Facebook, and I think those are the only places that are, you can also do like Pinterest and some other places, but wherever you want to share it using the share button, that also helps with engagement. Leave a comment and then just advocate. The best thing that is kind of helping the channel is word of mouth. So lots of love and light to all of you. It's great to be here. I'll be back on Sunday as I am, and I'm here every Monday, Thursday, and Friday to read for the monthly readings. Take care of yourselves. Check out my daily reading if you haven't already. And in the meantime, use your voice, take care of yourself, open up your heart. There's a lot of love that wants to come through. Speaking of which, thank you, Pearl, for that final donation today. I appreciate that as well. All right, everyone, take care and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.